What is up, guys? Delboy here. So on the 7th of April we have a fight between Frampton and Nonito Donaire. Obviously both of these guys are featherweights. I've seen a lot of reaction online to this fight, and I think the consensus is that it's not a bad fight, but Nonito Donaire is well past his best at this point. And I have to say, I do agree with that sentiment, but nonetheless, I am somewhat intrigued because Nonito Donaire, to me, like I said, he's well past his best, but I still don't think he's at that stage yet where he's completely shot. We saw against Jesse Magdaleno, who is a very good fighter. You know, Donaire competed at a world-class level. He can still fight at a certain level, and he can still give guys problems, in my opinion. He's not the guy he was back in the day. You know, especially at super flyweight and bantamweight. I feel he is well past his prime, but nonetheless, I still think it's a good fight. Another one of the reasons I think this is a good fight, where is Frampton at himself? Because I get the sneaking suspicion this guy is done with boxing, or at the very least, he can see the finishing line, and I think that's in the back of his mind. I felt last time out against Horacio Garcia, he looked very sluggish at times. The pace was really getting to him towards the end of that fight. And he was lucky it wasn't a 12-round fight, because if it was, who knows what would have happened, because he was starting to gas in that fight. To his credit, he pulled it out in the last round and fought well, but you know, he had a really tough fight last time out against a guy who is basically unknown. So I do question how much Frampton has left, how much desire he has, because even in the second Santa Cruz fight, he clearly lost it, but he didn't show that same fighting passion that he showed in the first fight, the fight he won, although a lot of people felt he lost that fight as well. But in the first fight, I think we can all agree, he showed fight, he showed grit, he showed determination, and I felt that was missing from the second fight against Santa Cruz. So I question how much Frampton has left, not necessarily physically, but mentally. Also, question marks about his ability to make a weight. Obviously, he was supposed to fight a guy back in the autumn, I believe, and the fight got called off because his opponent basically slipped in the shower. But nonetheless, they still weighed in for that fight, and Frampton missed weight. Second to that, I felt against Horacio Garcia, he looked pretty poor on the scales. So, firstly, I'm not sure how much Frampton has left, how much he wants it anymore. And number two, I mean, to me, he looks like he's struggling to make the weight. And to me, that would also be disastrous for Frampton, because he can't compete with big super featherweights. He can't compete at super featherweight. So he needs to keep on making weight at featherweight. Otherwise, he's going to be well and truly done, in my opinion. So to me, this fight does intrigue me, because if Frampton shows up like he did last time, even this version of Nonito Donaire is going to give him a lot of trouble. Frampton was getting caught as the fight went on, and although Donaire is definitely north of where he should be competing at weight-wise, that left hook has still got a lot of power. And even at featherweight, it's going to hurt guys. You know, Nonito Donaire managed to hurt Nicholas Walters with that left hook, and he's a big guy. So, believe you me, there's enough power in that left hook to hurt Frampton. And Frampton, to me, is an ambush fighter. He likes to get in and out. Sometimes that means jumping in without setting it up with a jab. He'll lunge in with like a right hand or a left hook or whatever punch it is. He'll lunge in, and that's going to give Nonito Donaire a lot of opportunities to land that counter left hook. You know, Nonito Donaire, even to this day, does still have pretty good timing. So I do worry for Frampton if he jumps into a left hook, how it will affect him. That'll be interesting. To me, that's the main thing. Frampton needs to utilise the jab. He needs to utilise his legs, stay on the move, pop that jab, only look for shots, only look for power shots when you're comfortable and when you know Nonito Donaire can't really throw back. Because if you get in exchanges, you know, you take one of those left hooks and it could be curtains. I really do believe that Donaire still has the power to hurt Frampton. Like I said, to me, Nonito Donaire should never have moved up above super bantamweight. I think that was his limit. featherweight is a weight class too high for Nonito Donaire. But regardless of that, I still think he has the power to hurt Carl Frampton. Interestingly enough, I wonder how Carl Frampton's power will affect Nonito Donaire, because like I said, to me, Donaire does not belong at featherweight. And we saw how Nonito Donaire handled Nicholas Walters' power at featherweight. You know, he didn't handle it well at all. And Carl Frampton is not a bigger puncher as Nicholas Walters, but I think Carl Frampton can still crack. You know, Carl Frampton probably hits harder than most of the guys Nonito Donaire has fought, purely because of weight. You know, Frampton's fought at higher weight classes, so that's going to be interesting to see how Donaire handles Carl Frampton's power. I think this is a good fight. It's going to tell us a lot about both guys. To me, the loser, it's really hard to come back from. Especially in the case of Nonito Donaire. He's 35 years old, so a loss for him it pretty much puts a fork in him. And even for Carl Frampton, like I said, I really question this guy's desire to carry on for much longer. So a loss to Nonito Donaire, to me, pretty much signals the end of his career. It would, you know, it would all but rule out those big domestic fights against the likes of Lee Selby, etc. So to me, this is an interesting fight. It is a crossroads fight because, like I said, the winner is a hard road back. So I like this fight. I think it's a good fight stylistically. Both guys, to me, still have enough to win. I do make Carl Frampton a favourite because obviously he's younger. He's had less wear and tear. Donaire is in a weight class that he shouldn't really be at. So I do make Carl Frampton a fairly big favourite, but I still think Donaire poses enough questions to make this fight compelling and interesting. What do you guys think about this fight? Peace.